Okay, there we are. Here we go. Let's get going. And before we talk to our guests, all of whom are in Colombo today for Inside Story, just a quick word of, I guess, housekeeping more than anything else. We have tried all day to get representation from the Sri Lankan government. As of now, nobody was available to talk to us here on Al Jazeera. So let's get to those guests. They are Rauf Hakim, leader of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, a member of parliament, and formerly a Minister of Justice. Shreen Abdul Sarur, a peace activist and co-founder of the Women's Action Network. Also, Jehan Pereira, Executive Director of the National Peace Council of Sri Lanka. Welcome to you all. Rauf Hakim, as a former Minister of Justice, coming to you first, this is being done, we're told, on national security grounds. What does that mean?
Now, this is certainly an overreaction to an issue which unnecessarily has been brought in to stigmatize the Muslim community for the wrong that is done by a small gang, which had unfortunately been the perpetrators of the Easter Sunday attacks. But this agenda has been there for a long time, ever since the conclusion of the war. The conclusion of the war brought about a sense of triumphalism among the Sinhala majority, and the government of the time felt it necessary to create a narrative to make the Muslims the next enemy, so that they can keep the mobilization of the Sinhala majority in their favor. And this is nothing but an effort to try and demonize and stigmatize a hapless community, which is now getting marginalized day by day with all type of racist policy decisions. And this is one such other thing.
Rauf Hakim, again, coming back to you as a former Minister of Justice, I guess if we could ask the government, and we're heading towards the 2-year anniversary of the Easter attacks, in the run-up to that time, which presumably there will be more tension almost palpably in the air as people remember what happened 2 years ago, I guess the government might admit we had to make the entire country feel safer. That was why we brought the ban in almost 2 years ago. But how does it make the country, even the majority Buddhist population, feel safer now if they introduce this ban going forward?
The government attempts to carry on continuous, relentless propaganda through their captive media organizations, both government media as well as private media, to create Islamophobic fear psychosis. This has been their main ploy throughout. And now with the Easter Sunday attacks Presidential Commission report out, we can see there is a clear overreach by the Commission also going into such controversial topics such as banning this, that or the other, in order to appease the majority sentiment that has been created by a very well-planned media strategy of the government. And this is what is very unfortunate. But they don't realize, as Jehan said, the so-called group of people who had committed this heinous crime appears to be a cult which has been the making of certain intelligence operation to demonize the Muslims. In fact, pit the Muslims against the Catholics. We had absolutely no enmity with any religious communities, so much so the Catholics themselves. Then these are the two communities which voted overwhelmingly against this regime in the regime change that took place 5 years ago.
Okay.
And that was perhaps the reason why such a plot was designed and executed.
Okay. Rauf Hakim, is Mr. Rajapaksa, to go back to the political dynamic that you were talking to us about a little earlier, is Mr. Rajapaksa here kind of riding a wave, if you will, of identifying a minority, implicitly pointing a finger of suspicion at that minority, even though that minority have done nothing wrong, and that's a journal of record, that's a matter of journalistic fact, that the Muslim minority have done nothing wrong in the country. Because the president 2 years ago talked about the burqa as being, quote, the flag of fundamentalism. Didn't describe it as an item of clothing, talked about it in very loaded terminology.
Yes, indeed. This has been the narrative that they have created all throughout in order to mobilize the Sinhala majority in their favor. And, playing such cheap politics has been their brand. And that is quite apparent. But what we are concerned today is that when you talk about these madrasa schools, I mean, they are still to produce strong evidence to suggest. They are only talking about this Wahhabi ideology and then various other doctrines that are polluting the climate of coexistence in the country. They are yet to produce strong evidence from the curricula itself that are being taught in the madrasas. I very categorically deny there is no such devious and dangerous content in the curricula of these madrasas, except for teaching religious scriptures. Because our madrasa system has been an age-old system that has been practiced over a period of time. But there is a disproportionate attention being paid to Muslim schools on the pretext of trying to be too intrusive to look at their curricula. But the community itself is quite capable of self-regulating our own religious instruction schools, which we have been doing. And we, after the Easter Sunday attacks, have taken upon ourselves the need to do a serious introspection within the community. And we are doing this. So that they must leave these matters for self-regulation by the community.
I'm going to interrupt you there, but we are very quickly heading towards the end of the programme, and there are a final couple of points I want to get in.